everybody out there in YouTube. We are the Middle-Aged Guys, and we're going to be bullshitting again about another episode of Young Justice. To get the introductions out of the way, I am the Reverend.
The theme here.
I'm Grey Mouse 1.
This particular review is going to be about Young Justice Season 1, Episode 10, which is entitled Targets, and it originally aired out in September 16th, 2011. Now, okay, let me take you just a moment here, all right? Because the thing is that you're like, if you're paying attention, you're like, September 16th, but Bereft's Episode 9 aired out in March 11th, 2011. Why did it go ahead and air out again, almost a full 6 months later? Actually, a full 6 months later. Because Cartoon Network is fucking retarded is why, all right? Yeah, this right here was pretty much one of the things that kind of proved and was one of the real big indicators right off the bat that Cartoon Network was looking at this particular series maybe in a different light than a lot of the fans were looking at. Because this is around the time that I actually started noticing that this was going on, okay? Actually, I don't think I actually started watching this on a weekly basis until around October, okay? But I didn't know that they had like a 6-month layoff where all of a sudden they had Bereft and then Targets came up. Yeah, so just again to prove why the fans out there who are excited about the fact that Young Justice is getting a season 3, even no matter which way it's coming to us, whether it be over air, over cable, through the internet, or through a digital direct subscription service or anything like that, we're pretty happy that it's actually coming. But let me put that aside for a moment. Just like usual, folks, with every review video, I'm going to do a short synopsis and summary of every episode. After we do that, we're going to talk about 3 particular points in general: what we liked, what we didn't like, or if there was something that we didn't like, what we would change if we had the choice. And the third point is always, what did we notice this time around when we were watching the episode that we see actually serves as a setup to a future storyline or episode that's coming in the future. All right? Let me get on with the synopsis. This particular episode right here opens up with Red Arrow in Taipei, and he is actually watching over a peace summit that is going on between, I believe, it is North and South Rhelasia. Okay, the two different leaders of each of the individual countries are coming to the point where if they do not sign this peace summit, basically they're ready for all-out war between them, and that will just completely destabilize the area and everything politically and militarily, right? So what's going on is, since it's such a big deal, they're actually asking a special arbiter to come in and, oversee the actual peace summit, okay? Well, Red Arrow has gotten tipped off that the League of Shadows is sending an assassin to go in and assassinate the arbiter who's supposed to take care of the whole peace summit proceedings and possibly maybe do damage to either the leaders of the North Rhelasia or Southern Rhelasia. Turns out the arbiter is none other than Lex Luthor, okay? He's no hero, definitely a well-known villain. He just happens to be on the side of the angels this time, and even though Red Arrow foils the attempt of Cheshire to kill Lex Luthor the first time around, he decides to go ahead and stick around to make sure that the League of Assassins doesn't, or the League of Shadows doesn't send more assassins, which they probably will, to go ahead and upset the peace summit. In the meantime, the rest of the team, or at least with Superboy and Miss Martian, they are experiencing their first day at school. In which case, it turns out to be a very big learning experience for both of them, considering that one is a Martian, the other one is only 6 months old, literally, and neither are very socially adjusted. And they go out throughout the day experiencing all the sorts of high school angst and shenanigans that only teenagers could get into. All right. In the meantime, back in Taipei, Red Arrow soon figures out that he's over his head, and even though he doesn't want to, he actually calls for help. And what happens is that he calls up Aqualad to go ahead and help him out there in Taipei. Aqualad arrives, and during the time that he is there, they, of course, Cheshire again attempts to go ahead and assassinate Lex Luthor after breaking out of prison with the help of Sportsmaster, who teams up with her to go ahead and lead the League of Shadows charge on Lex Luthor again. Aqualad and Red Arrow are there to go ahead and fend them off. They pretty much keep everybody safe until one of the League of Shadows assassins is left. And when that last assassin goes ahead and makes a charge at the two leaders of North and South Rhelasia, Lex Luthor orders Mercy to go ahead and subdue the attacker. Mercy shows off everything that she's armed with, literally, and that completely impresses the North and South Rhelasian leaders, and then they agreed to the peace accords, which leaves a really, really sour taste in Red Arrow's mouth. But as Aqualad says, hey, this is something that we wanted. During the time, though, there's some seeds of doubt as far as the members of the team. Sportsmaster, during the battle, has suggested to Aqualad that they've got a mole in their midst that's feeding them a lot of information, of which he actually goes ahead and reveals some very intimate details that, unless somebody knew what was going on with the team, wouldn't know that otherwise. So that also starts planting a seed of doubt within Aqualad, and also something that's going to be carried on into the future episodes as far as how he deals with the team. I think that's pretty much for now, right?
Yep.
As far as the synopsis goes? Yeah. If I know there's like a few other details and everything else, I'm pretty sure we're going to touch that on this particular review. And if you really want to, go out and see it yourself. I really suggest that. But that brings us to our first point. Guys, Season 1, Episode 10, Targets. What did you like about this particular episode?
Okay. With this one, I just like the Lex Luthor. And the character development of the story, the character development, the reactions between the characters. But what stands out to me is definitely Lex Luthor. That's the Lex Luthor that I know. That's the Lex Luthor that I can relate with. He's cunning. He's intelligent. He's sly, and just that's Lex, And then you kind of took a little bit of my thunder during your synopsis, because I was going to mention that it just so happens that I'm on the side of the angels. When he said that, hey, I'll say I'll admit I'm no saint, but just so happens that this time I am on the side of the angels. Or is he? Is the question that we have here. But I love that whole development, how they put Lex Luthor in there. And I think that Lex Luthor would be the only figure that could have done the arbitrator for the North and South, what do you call it? What was it?
Relations. Yeah.
Relations. And I also like the fact that it kind of relates to what happens in the real world between North and South Korea. They're technically still at war. They want them to sign the peace treaty. So I liked how they took real world and they just created their own country or whatever. So, and it's just really interesting that Lex is the peace person. It's like putting Dennis Rodman as the peace person between North and South Korea. I'm just saying, Anyway, that's what I really liked about the episode. Dean, what about you?
Lex Luthor was one, because as you said, he was actually fucking Lex. You couldn't watch this and be like, man, that ain't Lex Luthor. This is garbage. Nope, click. No, this is Lex Luthor, okay? I like the fact that, okay, besides being superheroes, they had to make it seem like these heroes had normal lives that they had to freaking deal with. Superboy and Miss Martian actually start school. And Superboy, as soon as he saw people having big S's on their chest, he wasn't happy about that. Then, Mal Duncan, Bumblebee, the Bumblebees, okay. I was like, that's kind of interesting because, all right, that's cool. Superboy and Miss Martian in class. It's like, and Superboy actually has an alternative name, a secret identity, as you will, that was given to him by both of the Martians. And of course, okay, Connor Kent is his name now. One is going to be explained later, but we all know what Kent came from, but it was misinterpreted by Miss Martian herself.
Yep.
I mean, wait, but she didn't know. She didn't know. Martian Manhunter was like, how about Kent? And as soon as you do that, you're like, oh, okay. Yeah, Superboy, his last name is Kent. Okay. Yeah. Besides the battle with the between Aqualad and Red Arrow and the Shadows and Cheshire and Sportsmaster, I really like the school scenes.
Yeah, I have to say that like I said, I don't want to seem like I'm out of place or anything, but what's funny is that with a lot of these particularly really good episodes with a lot of action, with these great fight scenes and everything else, although I was thoroughly entertained by Cheshire doing her best Chun-Li impression during the fight, in the during the Peace Summit and everything else. Like I said, I am so intrigued on just watching these heroes try to lead normal lives. All right, the fact that right now Superboy he doesn't get the nuances of sarcasm or illusion or anything like that. If somebody makes any sort of anecdotal reference or stuff like that, he's almost like Drax the Destroyer from Guardians of the Galaxy right now. Okay, where but the thing is that he's learned enough to know that not everything is literal, and it is. And there's this great balance between him and Miss Martian, where he is just, with him, his first impulse is to do whatever fucking pops into his head. All right, if there's something that happens, and he feels like he's got to act on it, he's just going to act on it. Okay, with Miss Martian, she is so wrapped up in trying to be socially accepted that she is not only keeping herself in check, she is keeping him in check. Very, not just mentally but overtly. Okay, and that is just it plays a really good there's a really great interaction that goes on there. Like I said, the thing with this particular one is that it's kind of funny watching these heroes going to their first day of school, and it's literally their first day of school. What's funny is that we're probably going to see a little bit more of that coming up with the other team members in future episodes, probably in the next few. All right, but let's go ahead. What, Rh'as, you have something else?
I just got to throw one small little tidbit out there, is that that Superboy, for 6 months old, he's rather smart, obviously because of the genomes that was feeding him just pure information. And I think that's one reason why he can't he's kind of like Sheldon, don't say that. No, hear me out. Hear me out. I'm talking about the point of literally not knowing sarcasm when it's hitting you in the face. You don't know how to metaphorically speak or understand that there's things that people speak, not just that your words are not always literal, that there's other meanings behind those words, is what I was saying.
Yeah, he doesn't quite get metaphor, but
exactly. Well, and the fact that as the episodes go on, we see him mature, we see him figure things out, and we see him start to have sarcasm and starting to really grab a hold of his surroundings. I just wanted to add that to it because he answered the teacher's question. You know, it was just like he just regurgitated it. It was like, you know, like, and everybody was like, wow, you know. I mean, there's a reason why, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. I mean, definitely, it's one of the things that is like, you know, just out of 10 episodes, we've seen a lot of development, but that doesn't mean the episode is perfect. All right. That'll actually bring us to our second talking point. Was there anything in the episode that you didn't like, or if you had a chance to change, that you would change in some way? Floor is open, guys.
I didn't understand when Mal Duncan walked past Superboy and actually bumped him. I didn't understand Superboy moving at that point. I kind of didn't understand that. I'm like, wait a second, no. But I can understand if they were trying to conceal themselves, and you know. But I was just like, I'm not sure if that would have actually happened. Another thing, goodness, they're in high school. What were they all freshmen? Because, damn, them wearing Justice League shit. I mean, look, I don't think juniors and seniors in high school were wearing like Superman shirts and Flash shirts, and I think that was going a little bit too far. But
then again, we are talking about a world where superheroes do actually exist. So
yeah, but yeah, okay, I could let that slide a bit. But it was something that I caught, and I was like, okay.
What about you, Grey Mouse? Was there anything that you didn't like, or maybe something you would change if you had a choice?
To add to what the theme just said, I was one of those type of high schoolers that did wear comic book shit, and I didn't give a fuck. I was my own person. I didn't care what anybody thought of me, and I was just me. So yeah. Anyway, I don't know if this was a direct stab at Marvel or not, but this is just, I'm nitpicking here, is that I'm tired of the same first name and last name start with the same letter. You know, Jameson, you know, all these, you know, Peter Parker. I don't know if that was a stab at Marvel in this particular one or not, because it was a sly comment that one of the guy on the skateboard at school was saying. But
the alliteration, I get it.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, is that a stab at Marvel there? You know, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, because DC doesn't do that too often, do they?
Well, they do it enough.
Basis?
No, they do it enough. I mean, so much.
Anyway, not as much as Marvel. And me talking about, you know, discussing about DC stuff wearing a Marvel shirt, so hey, maybe I am biased. Anyway, the rest of the episode, I didn't really have, I mean, I thought it was, I know this is supposed to be negative, but I don't really have anything negative to say about the episode. I thought it was great. I mean, I love the story was great. You know, you've always talking about, Reverend, about how you really enjoy a story-driven episode. And there was a lot of dialogue there and a lot of characterization of those characters within that episode. And I can't really find any negative, in all honesty. I mean, I thought the episode went well. I know it was supposed to be negative, but I mean...
No, I do agree on a large point for that. There are a lot of details that stand out as being really nitpicky, and like what the theme had mentioned, you know, if we really look at the details and look at the people involved, it wouldn't have gone down that way, right? Like, for instance, you know, Sportsmaster breaking Cheshire out by literally blowing the wall up. Okay. Yeah, you know what? Red Arrow and Cheshire would have been dead. They would have just been pasted on the other side of those fucking bars. Okay, that's how that would have happened. Same thing with Red Arrow, you know, diving into the water with an explosive harpoon with, you know, easily a stick of dynamite, you know, exploding underwater. Especially if you know anything about, like, the physics of how, you know, shockwaves, you know, work. Underwater, they're much worse than they are in the open air.
It's
you know,
it's physics and superhero stuff.
Yes, I know.
Your point.
I would
like
with M80s. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, like you said, it's a lot of the stuff is really really nitpicky. All right, if you want to be really strict on that, because yeah, by the nature of what we're dealing with superheroes, you have to suspend. There's got to be a suspension of belief, and yes, there is a point where the science, you got to sit there and turn that side of your brain off. I understand. All right. The only thing that I wish happened, okay, this is one thing that I would have changed, all right? I would have changed Superboy just, hitting Mal Duncan and him going into orbit, all right? Because I just kept on thinking to myself, I'm like, I know in the future these guys are going to be really good friends, and one of these guys is going to be sitting there saying, I am glad as fuck I didn't decide to swing on this dude when I first met him in high school, because he would have literally broken me into a million pieces with his pinky toe. All right? So, but like I said, that's just maybe something I would have changed, but that's the masochist side of me. All right? But that really does kind of bring us up to our third talking point. What was something that you noticed in this particular episode, now that you've seen it multiple times, that serves as a setup or a reference to something that's going to happen in the future or another future episode? Floor is open, guys.
I would say Lex. Obvious.
Okay, yeah.
And a couple things with Red Arrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are my two. Go ahead, Dean.
To say Red Arrow is kind of not fair.
Yeah.
Because, and it's nothing against what Grey Mouse just said. It's just the fact that we've seen all the episodes. And now we're going back to this. That was subtle as hell.
Yeah.
We would have never, ever guessed that.
Yeah, I mentioned that. Yeah, absolutely.
With Red Arrow. Lex Luthor, yeah. Then there was, again, with dealing with, as the Reverend said, dealing with the people in high school. You know damn well that these people are going to be integrated within superhero lives. Certain ones are. Which, once again, isn't fair. Because it's like, fuck, man, we would have to actually see the future episodes in order to have, and it's like, oh, wait, they're here now? But, okay. With the League of Shadows, this is what, their second appearance, second or third appearance?
I think third.
And
yeah.
I mean, Cheshire is just a wash, rinse, repeat at this point.
Yeah, I'd say Cheshire is definitely one of the regular characters, and if it hasn't become obvious by now, there is definitely something going on with Cheshire that ties her to the team. Okay, the inclusion of Sportsmaster and the amount of tension between them.
Yeah.
They obviously know each other, which again ties Sportsmaster a lot closer to the team, especially with the words of Broken Arrow. Okay.
And for the last thing I want to say is that when Sportsmaster actually talked to Aqualad, putting in the seeds of doubt.
Yeah.
As far as saying, okay, yeah, there's a how do you think we got this information? So he put the seeds of doubt as far as there being a mole in their team, and it's like, oh shit. So where's this going to go? We know that there's a connection between Artemis and Cheshire.
Yeah. Yep.
And Cheshire is here at this time. So that would arouse some suspicion, and putting in those seeds of doubt. Then you can't really trust Superboy because they broke him out of Katniss, which was controlled by, again, that's going to lead up to something.
Yep. Yeah, I'd have to say, as far as it goes, definitely the whole thing with the seeding, laying down the seeds of, hey, look, there's a mole in your team and everything. That is something that plays out completely. Yeah, I mean, it really doesn't wrap itself up until like episode, I think, 24 or 25 of the original 26. Yeah, it doesn't wrap itself up until like literally the second to the last episodes of the first season. Mm-hmm. So that's something that does play into a lot of this stuff. Now, I do love the fact that they went ahead and they dropped Mal Duncan in. They dropped Karen Beecher, which is Bumblebee. into the as students at Happy Harbor High School and everything, especially considering that Bumblebee and Miss Martian end up becoming really good friends. All right, like I said, Mal in the second season, he actually acts as the operations information officer, being the guy in front of the computer monitor, feeding information to the team on a regular basis in season 2. So yeah, they're definitely, these are the types of things that are, definitely crumbs in the trail for you to follow. I think the crumbs are more the whole thing about sowing the seeds of doubt that somebody's a mole in the team.
It wasn't but it wasn't just Mal Duncan. The teacher is part of that too, right?
I think he plays a little bit in the second season, but I can't remember why off the top of my head right now.
Yeah, because I think that he was an actual part of that. One thing that I didn't understand. Okay, look, there are heroes. Miss Martian, okay, yeah, she's completely, you can't recognize her as far as being a superhero or a Martian or whatever. But Connor should have put on glasses just like Clark Kent. You see this boy out there.
No, I disagree on that.
Wait a minute. So what's the difference between him and Superboy at this point?
That's the whole point. They want to separate the characterization of Superman and Superboy and their alter egos.
I understand what you're saying.
Obvious from us.
But what if Clark Kent didn't have glasses on?
Well,
I think that a long time ago. I've complained about that ages ago.
Yeah, but if you see Superboy doing things out and about, and then you see this dude in school, like, wait a second here. Regardless if you have the S on your shirt or not.
Yeah, but with that particular thing, and I think before we linger too far into this for the rest of the video, all right?
Wears glasses.
Yeah, with that particular thing right there, I think there's a reason why they have the teens, the young team, actually do most of their work covertly. All right, they're the ones who aren't supposed to be seen in public. All right, and then if you're tying it back to Superman, well, Superman only got famous, out in public as Superman. If he has been successful in actually hiding his secret identity up to now, there probably isn't a lot of, I don't know, pictures of teenage Superman floating around online or stuff like that. Pretty much the only thing that they really kind of refer to is like, as almost every female has said, referring to Superboy so far, is that boy fine, but he's a freak. All right. That's pretty much how it translates.
Well, we've already seen the Superboy in Metropolis on that bridge. There's not footage of that somewhere.
So
yeah.
So to bring this back, I like the end the most as the telltale sign of something going on. Yeah. And I found that very interesting that Lex had that champagne meeting with Raul. How do you say his name?
Ra's al Ghul.
Oh yeah. I was like, really? And then that last little sentence in the whole episode was, they will all see the light. I was like, and that there in itself, you're like, wait a minute. When they said that, I was like, watching it for the first time, I actually connected that at that time. Not that I've watched this episode several other times before. I was like, wait a minute. Then you start going back, and you're like, in your head, because you're like, wait a minute. Now you're starting to put the voices to the
faces,
or no, to the
images,
the static, the images.
Yeah.
I was like, I caught that right away. So I think that's definitely a segue into the future. That was more, like you said, the Red Arrow was that. I mean, you had to kind of know the future to tell that. But this was right there in your face. This was like, it was right there, especially that last line in the episode, talk about they will see the light, or something to that effect.
Well, those particular members of that group were going to step, no pun intended, but they were going to step into the light sooner or later. All right. And I think when it happens, they literally say that they came out and they stepped into the light, But with that, it only makes sense. I mean, literally, they're not just the biggest foes, like, some of the pillar members of the Justice League, but probably to the Justice League as a whole, So, again, it makes sense. All right. Let's go ahead and let's wrap this particular one up. Like I said, last part, on a scale of yay, nay, or meh, what is your rating of this particular episode? Gray Mouse, you go first. Yay, nay, or meh?
Me first? I'll say yay. So now we see 3 of the light. We've seen Witch Boy, Lex, and Old Boy.
Yep. R'As Al. Yep.
Wait. Yeah, that's it, right?
Yeah.
3 of them.
That's 3. Yep.
Yeah. So definitely a yay for me.
Yep. What about you, Theme? Yay, nay, or meh?
Yay. Come on. To see a couple of heroes go to school and the battle taking place at the same time, Lex Luthor being Lex Luthor and being at the center of all of that, and Mercy. You barely hear about her. I mean, damn, and now she's a badass with her arm. Yeah, okay. Yay. Definitely. And then the Seeds of Doubt thing at the end to keep the story going. R'As Al with Lex. Definitely a yay.
Yep. I would have to go yay also. No surprise, right? Yeah, like there is so much going on in this particular episode. There's the sort of interwoven storylines and connections that they made with all of the particular characters that are involved in this particular episode not only became broader, but they also became tighter with what happened, how they carried things out. The whole thing with, soon to be revealed that Artemis is, Cheshire's, sister, and that, guess what? Sportsmaster is their dad. And this is one thing that I gotta say, with everything all considered, they actually did a really good job in making Artemis look biracial. Okay, if you start looking at the details between their normal Caucasians and then also their Asians, the way that they go ahead and they design them in the show, they did really well. All right. There's that, and there's also like I said, there's a lot of action going on. Cheshire doing her best Chun-Li impression. All right. The fact that they went out of their way and they showed that Sportsmaster wasn't some just gimmicky laughed at punk that we've seen in other animated episodes in other previous WB or DC animated series. Was definitely refreshing. It was like, oh, this is the reason why, he's somebody to be afraid of. And yes, I can take him seriously as a threat and all of that. There was a lot going on in this particular episode. If Bereft and the previous and Downtime were close to a perfect episode for me, this is even closer to that. All right. Like I said, I've only got a few very small, things that I can go ahead and nitpick. Yeah. But they're just that.
Shit. Yeah.
Yeah. They're just that. They're nitpicks. All right. With that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring this one to a close. What we really want to know, folks, is that if you were seeing Season 1, Episode 10 of Young Justice, Targets, what did you think of the episode? What do you think about our review? Are we missing something? Are we off base? We would like to know. You can let us know by hitting, going ahead and leaving a comment below. While you're at it, mash on that like button. We appreciate seeing those. And if you really like what we do here and you want to see more, or if you want to encourage us to do more, go ahead. Feel free to subscribe. We'd like you to stick around. All right. With that, we are the Middle-Aged Guys, and our review of Season 1, Episode 10 of Young Justice Targets ends right here. I'm the Reverend.
the theme here.
And I'm Grey Mouse 1.
All forms of entertainment has the right to exist, even if you don't like it. Damn, I can't wait for season 3 of this. Credits.